Hello, my name is Campbell. On the 9th of August, I'll be 64. And in 2007, excuse me, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. At the same time, I was going through a bit of a hard time financially. So it was a pretty bad time of our lives, and I found it quite tough. Started the radiotherapy a few months after you get all the usual scans and what have you, and started 7 weeks of radiotherapy at the Ulster, the cancer hospital on the Lisburn Road. It was probably asked them if I could be there at 8:30 every morning, because I wanted to try and get it out of the way every day. So I cycled over, which was probably not the best thing to do, but it was best to beat the traffic in the morning. And it's like a little breakfast club at the cancer hospital. You meet the same people every morning, go through the same routine, and it's a bit like Alcoholics Anonymous in a way, or Cancer Anonymous. It's like, hi Ian, I'm Ian, I've got prostate cancer, and I'm Eileen, I've got breast cancer. And it was quite cathartic in a way, because it was a positive thing to be doing. But anyway, I persevered with that, and we had a few side effects, and got a sore leg, and hormone treatment was going on at the same time, and you put on a bit of weight, you grow boobs, you get hot flushes, and my son-in-law thought this was hilarious. He and my son speculated on what sort of bra they were going to buy me at one stage. And anyway, at that time I was, we got over the radiotherapy, and I decided, right, I can sit here and feel sorry for myself, or I can maybe do something a bit positive. So I started training for an event in France, La Marmotte. I'm sure there's some of you familiar with this. It's a sport even. There's up to, I think, 9,000 people take part in it. It's a one-day event. As you can see, 175k, 16,000 feet of climbing, and it's 4 of the biggest climbs on the Tour de France. It's run by the organisers of the tour, and they do it on a day off, actually. So we headed off at 7 o'clock in the morning with thousands of other cyclists, and climb up these fearsome climbs called the Glandon, called the Telegraph, and called the Galibier, which is horrendous. I remember coming around a corner, and I'd been climbing for quite a way, and there's a sign that says summit 20k, and you go, oh my god, this is the Tour de France guys, not us. It shows you the terrain and the things. So it was fantastic, and hurtling down these alpine roads at speeds up to 50 miles an hour was unbelievable experience. A few pangs like that. And anyway, I got to it finishes in Alpe d'Huez, and I got to the foot of the Alp, as they call it. Everybody has a transponder that's timed. You cycle over these timing mats, and if you have to be at the bottom of the Alp at a certain time, otherwise they take your transponder off you, which they did. I didn't get there quick enough, and I thought, I'll cycle up Alpe d'Huez anyway, I'm not going to not finish it. So it was dark when I got up into Alpe d'Huez, probably the last person. The big inflatable arch with Feeney on it was lying half inflated on the ground. And a couple of guys there putting crushed barriers on the truck. And one of them motioned me forward, and he lifted up the arch, and I cycled in underneath it. And I thought, great, I've done it. And it was a good moment, it really was. So I come back home after that, and I was watching TV, and I seen a programme about a guy doing an event called Race Across America, and I thought, God, that would be good to do. And my wife is this way of looking at you just over the top of her glasses, and she just looked at me, didn't say anything. And I spoke to my son a couple of days later, and I said, Duncan, what about we enter this as a father and son team? He's 35 and quite a big, fit, strong lad, not a cyclist. And he just said, "Dad, you're nuts." And that was it. That was all he said. So I thought for a couple of days, and I thought, I'll do it myself. It's a much better challenge on your own. So I looked into it and discovered that you can't just roll up and do the race across America, you have to qualify for it. And I looked through the list of qualifying races, and there's some in America, a lot in America obviously, some in Europe, and lo and behold there was one in Ireland. The race around Ireland, so I thought, oh, that's good. And I found out who was organising it, and I drove down to Navan to see the guy that organises it. And he spent the first half hour trying to talk me out of it. It was horrendous what he was telling me, but after half an hour I'm still sitting there with a silly grin on my face. And so he started going through it, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I paid him €50 deposit. I wanted to get it over and done with, and came home and told my wife I'd entered the race around Ireland. And then I realised, well, what have I done? It's a pretty tough event, and maybe some of you seen this programme. Joe Barr won it last year. Last year was the inaugural event, and the UMCA, which is the Ultra Marathon Cycling Association, is the organisation that sanctions all these long distance events, and they immediately, just with the stats of this event, gave it World Cup status and RAM qualifying status as well. It's a brilliant event. It's, as I say, won by this guy who's an elite cyclist, Commonwealth Games medalist. This year there's a double Ironman world champion taking part in it, and then it's open. There's people like me doing it, so it's a great event that just somebody, an ordinary person. Like, I'm not a cyclist. I only started cycling when I turned 60. And so I'm not. First of all, I felt it's going to be quite elitist and like we were talking about earlier, but it's not at all like that. They're very welcoming. They really want to help me first of all get to the start line and then to finish it. And the support I've been having has been unbelievable. So I realised that I was going to need a bit of help, and I got on the internet. Queen's University helped me a bit at the beginning. I did a VO2 max test there, and then I read an article about a guy who had a coach who had coached the oldest man to have done the race across America. He was 62, and I sent him an email asking for a bit of advice and what he thought about me doing the race across America and the race around Ireland. And he sent me a lovely email back to say that he was very interested in working with older athletes, and I thought, well, that's the first time I've ever been called an athlete. So he's been working with me and since February, and he sends me an email every Wednesday with what I have to do that week, and it's been great. We've been gradually, we did a 12-week base period, which in effect is getting me fit to train, and now I'm in the build period. I'm building up weekly mileage, and last Monday I did my first double century, which was 211 miles on Monday, and just over 14 hours, which was pretty, it was a big event in my getting to the 200 mile part. And it's amazing how the psychological side of it, it used to be, if you'd have said to me about cycling 100 miles in one day, I would have gone, oh, I couldn't do that. And now I'm thinking, right, I've got to do 200 and 220 every day for 5.5 days. So it's going to be tough. There's 70,000 feet of climbing, which is probably the hardest thing that I'll have to cope with. I feel fitter and healthier than I have done for a long time. I'm eating well, and obviously the exercise I'm doing, and it's just been a very, very positive time. Thank you very much for listening.